Good morning, home ec students. Today we wanted to talk just briefly about fruit. Probably many of you are familiar with the value of fruit, the way that you select fruit from participating in grocery shopping at home. I just want to cover a few things just to make sure that you are familiar with those things. When you are picking out fruit, there are obvious things to look for. Check them out thoroughly and look for these things. That's pretty common sense. What you may not think about is if there's a large bag of something, check it thoroughly, because sometimes in the middle of those bags you'll find things that are not quite so fresh. If fruit looks brown, obviously that's a good sign that it's wilting or decaying, except for oranges and grapefruits. That is the exception. Sometimes their skin turns brown and it does not affect the quality. If you look for fresher produce, obviously your nutrients are going to be fresher, and purchase the things that you can use and store typically within a week. There are exceptions to that. It seems the firm fruits like apples and pears and such can last for several weeks. Fruit can either be mature or it can be ripe. And what is the difference? Mature fruit is fruit that has reached its full color and size, yet it may need to ripen. Ripened fruit is fruit that is fully developed in its flavor and its smell. You can notice a sweet smell from ripened fruit, and it will be the sweetest that you can gain from that. So some fruit is picked mature and then it will continue to ripen. Other fruits do not ripen. Which fruits are those? You're probably familiar with some of those, but there are others that maybe you didn't know. Fruits that ripen on the counter, apples continue to ripen slightly. Apricots and avocados, bananas is the one that you probably know. You watch them as they ripen even more. Blueberries will sweeten a little bit. Figs, kiwi, mango, and you can read the rest of the list. Fruits that do not ripen that you want to purchase fully ripe, they do not sweeten or continue to age any. The berries, blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. Citrus fruits do not ripen any. And of course, these and watermelon would be the last. So when you're choosing those fruits, you have to make sure that they are good in season. Seasonal fruits. What's the difference between seasonal fruits and fruits that do not have seasons? Seasonal fruits are those that have a specific growing season. Usually you will find the best quality, the best flavor, and the lowest price. That's the advantage of seasonal fruits. Some fruits are available year-round. They grow year-round. There's no change in flavor or pricing. Typically, I think about bananas, that you find them year-round. They don't change in quality, and the price is pretty much the same. Can you purchase off-season fruits during when they are not in season? And the answer is yes. They ship from all over the world. In our country, you can find whatever you want, whenever you want it. However, it will not be the best, the sweetest, and the price will be higher. Examples of seasonal fruits are peaches in the midsummer are their best quality, their best price, and the sweetest that you can find them. That's when you want to purchase them and store them in your freezer. That would be cold, waking up this morning. Storage, pretty much fruit often can store on the counter. Some fruits you want to keep in the fridge. What's the difference in those things? Talk about that in just a second. When you wash produce, typically you do not want to wash it and before you are ready to eat it. The moisture added to the produce will give an opportunity for bacteria to grow. So how do you store your fruit? If you want it to ripen, you can put it in a bag on the counter, and that will allow it to ripen more quickly because of the enzymes present in the fruit that allow for ripening. If it's contained in a bag, then that speeds up the process. If you want to slow the ripening, you don't want them to ripen too fast, you refrigerate them. In the refrigerator, we have crisper drawers. You know that. What is the purpose of those and how do they work? They trap air and control airflow and moisture. There are high humidity drawers and lower humidity drawers. Some refrigerators allow you to change the humidity on that, and others just allow the moisture and humidity to be trapped in that. I was up and getting ready this morning at 6:45. I try to beat everyone up in order to have quiet to video, but diligent students. If you have produce in plastic bags, then it's advised to put punch holes in it to allow airflow. How long does produce last in the refrigerator? That would be dependent on the type of produce and how fresh it is. Typically, you have a week. The other point about the refrigerator drawers, why do you store produce in those? Because your fruit particularly has enzymes that allow it to ripen, and you don't want that ripening other things around it. Some people suggest storing things individually if you have the space, because they tend to affect each other over time. I.e., my daughter says that she doesn't like apples and oranges to be in the same drawer because then your apples end up tasting like oranges. I, however, have not had that experience. We eat stuff too quickly. Fruits do brown. Why do they turn brown after you cut them? It is exposure to fresh air. The oxygen has a reaction to the enzymes that are in them and can prevent browning. It doesn't affect the taste or quality, but it doesn't look very appealing. So what can you do to prevent it? Ascorbic acid applied to the skin of the fruit will prevent that browning. Ascorbic acid is another term for vitamin C, and so think of fruits that would have vitamin C that you could add to that. One of those would be lemons, lemon juice, or orange juice. Which fruits darken the quickest? They all will eventually darken, but if you think about your experience, I see that apples turn brown the quickest. And so if you are cutting up apples in order to store them or have them readily available, you can coat them with lemon, or even orange juice is a good idea. Pears would be the same. They would darken as well. It's kind of interesting to watch if you have time to do an experiment and leave a few pieces of fruit out to see which darken and how quickly it happens. Obviously, fruit has high nutritional values. If you look at this chart, it shows you some of the percentage values of things that are extremely high. Vitamin C, vitamin A in cantaloupe is very high. If you look at dietary fiber, most fruits have a significant fiber. Some of them do, pears and apples in particular. The sugar is also high. So is eating fruit, the sugar is the same as eating refined sugars? The answer is no. And the difference is the fiber and the nutrient value. And so it does not affect your blood sugar as much. It doesn't enter the bloodstream quite so quickly as refined sugar. Like eating a cookie is different than eating an apple. Yes, absolutely. Also, the other thing is you typically don't overeat fruit. You don't stuff yourself with 10 apples at a time. However, 10 cookies, different story. Different ways to prepare fruit, raw fruit. You can look at some different ways to cut up fruit, and the best way, the easiest way to prepare it. Eating it raw, a lot of nutritional value there. Different methods for cooking fruit. You can poach or stew. That's often used when you want to keep the fruit intact, like poaching a pear or an apple, stewing them. You add water, moisture to it. Oops, what happened? You add moisture to it and a little bit of sugar that helps keep the structure. And if you are making sauces, you typically cut up the fruit into small pieces and simmer it. And you don't want to add sugar to it because you want the structure to be changed. You add sugar at the end. So if you're making applesauce or plum sauce or pear sauce, you'd cut up that fruit and then cook it down and then blend it up. Fruit can be baked. That's typically more of the firm fruits like baked apples. People have tried baked plums or pears. You can do that as well. Microwaving is another way that you can change the fruit's texture and sweeten their flavor. That would be the purpose of cooking fruits. Multiple ways to preserve fruit. You can purchase, or you can yourself can fruit, freeze fruit, making jams and jellies, or preserving it through drying. If you're purchasing fruit, the nutritional value would be best in raw fruit first, and then frozen fruit or produce, and then canned fruit. Canned fruit would be your last option for nutrients because it has added sodium, added sugar often. If you buy canned peaches, excuse me, if you buy canned peaches, typically they have a good bit of added sugar. And so try to find things that do not have that added sugar. I'm going to look up some other things to reference sorry. Talking about fruit. So look at what you have available and see what you can do with that today in your cooking assignment for today. Sorry about yesterday. I got up early to make a video, and about 7:30 I had everything ready, was waiting for it to download when our power went off. Yesterday we had a lot of rainstorms, and it did not come back on until 4 o'clock. So we had a fun day yesterday of playing games at our table. Ticket to Ride, that's a fun game. If y'all have that, you should try that. Yeah, so online school works great when you have power. If you don't have power, not so great. Anyways, hope y'all have a great day.